Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another round of the World Online Racing season. Tier 4 heads tonight to the streets of Las Vegas. This is console Tier 4, and 13 drivers will be traversing one of the newer circuits on the Formula One calendar tonight. I'm your I'd say main commentator because I'm the one controlling the production. Cass, alongside me this evening, I've got Niall Gio. Good evening, Niall. How are we?
Excited to see how the race is going to unfold today.
Yeah, it should be exciting. I mean, we talked last week about the DRS trains that we're likely to get. That means that the racing will be a hell of a lot closer. And so some of the drivers, they'll get more of an opportunity than they would have previously had, just to stay within that range, stay within contention, and then maybe pounce upon a mistake from one of the quicker drivers ahead to take a position, to take the lead, something like that. We're on board now with one of those quicker drivers, Nico, who's about to head onto the back straight, and what a back straight it is. It's the Las Vegas Strip, so it's one of the most iconic things, and you couldn't miss it out if we had a race around the streets of Las Vegas. But it does mean that we have an incredibly long wait to the final sort of segment of corners, the final braking zone of the lap. DRS this year is activated a lot later than it would have been in previous years, just because of how overpowering that DRS was. But then it's a huge, heavy braking zone into a very tight chicane, and then coming out on the exit, Nico's done that pretty well, and he's just got one more corner to go, similar to the one in Singapore last time out, which is just a little flick to the left, and Nico's going to finish his lap with a 1:30.349. We'll see how that stacks up against the rest of the field. Trisquet, second across the line with a 30.5. It seems to be a pretty decent lap, actually, with Ollie Hornby going in last in the 1:31.1s. So, yeah, he's already 2 tenths up on Trisquet. Another 5 tenths back. No, more than 5 tenths. 6 tenths back to Bram de Vissel. Misha's just slotted in second place. We're watching on board with Mad Dogs as he comes around the final couple of corners. And we'll see what time he sets. It's going to be a 1:30.9. So, 1:30.3, that's a huge benchmark.
Yeah, it's a great banker. It's very solid, obviously, for Tier 4. He probably not as quick as you might expect, but obviously I'm noticing very different ERS strategies. Obviously, I'm very interested by AMS Misha at the minute, because maybe he's made a mistake in his ERS consumption, but he's completely ran out. He's on none, basically, for the entire run up to the line. So maybe he's made a big mistake there in his ERS. So we'll see in the second run if that really was a mistake, or is he going to go again. Someone's crossed the line now. Dunker's goes 4th fastest, almost 4 tenths off, but I mean, it's maybe you just made a mistake. Well, maybe we'll see, because you obviously want to keep DRS the entire lap, but you don't want to use it all up. I think also Nico might have also made a slight mistake in his ERS, because it almost run out. It was on 0%, in fact, on the line, as AMS Knight goes 4th fastest. So everyone's on a clean lap, which is actually good. 8/10 range between Nico and Junkie by now, but it's going to be, you need to set a first lap, right? It doesn't have to be fast, it doesn't have to be slow either, but you need to set that banker to be confident with. I think Nico's kind of got that banker he was hoping for. I mean, it's a good first sector. I think it's a 0.6 first sector, which is actually very solid. But then I think he's just he's just kind of coasting somewhat to get the car around to finish the banker, to get that lap in, and he has, effectively. So now we're going to see the second run in a second. For those, he's going to try now to go full flat to try and beat that time for 1:30.349. So they're all now just going to go into pits, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quality lap to start off with. I think what we saw on board with Nico, at least, is just saving it all up. Using maybe a little bit in that first straight after the first little section of corners, and then just getting rid of all of it on that back straight between the second and third, like after the second sector split time, and then just across the entire straight, which is a huge straight. I believe it's the biggest on on any Formula One calendar that we've ever had, barring maybe what's the name of it? The one that was literally just 2 straights and then a very dangerous curve. It escapes me now, but the one that Jean Bera crashed at, not 100%. Avis, that was the name of it. But other than that, I think it is the longest straight that we have, and it makes it incredibly easy in a sense that you just know you have to use all of your ERS down there. But at the same time, you want to use it in different places. You want to gain time in different areas of the track, and so yeah, that's where the strategy will play into it. And maybe some drivers will do exactly that and will just dump it all the way down the straight. Some may take it a little bit differently, a little bit more managed, spurting it out of the corners as opposed to just dumping it all down the straight, because there is a speed limit maximum that they will eventually reach, and so at that point they'll just be unable to push any further. We've got Triscay coming around the final braking zone and ready to start his lap in this qualifying session. 10 minutes left on the clock, and the sole Ferrari tonight, will see what he's able to achieve. Is he able to cut those 2.5 tenths off to take that pole position away from Nico, or the provisional pole position at the moment? We'll have to wait and see as it ticks down to single figures in minutes now on that timer. It's going to be, I believe, a very exciting qualifying session. We haven't got any Bella Fox tonight. He would have dominated this qualifying, you can imagine. But that opens the door to a few more names, to the likes of Nico, to the likes of Triscay, Misha, Duncan, all who've demonstrated pace so far this season. It just opens up a gap for them. Maybe not actually, maybe not Misha having demonstrated pace, because he retired in China and hasn't done anything since. However, he's shown pace tonight, and Nico, Triscay, Duncan, Knight as well. They've all got podiums, so it's 4 of the top 5 who've got those podiums. You can extend it to 5 of the top 6 with Kingsman, but that's a lot of drivers with reputation coming into this evening. Triscay invalidates, by the way, so he won't be improving on his time. And so we're going to watch on board with who's coming around next. I think it's going to be Bram de Vissel.
Nope, it's Junkie, I think. It's Junkie, yep.
He's on an outlap.
Actually, yeah, he's on that lap, so he's got. Yeah, I think it is Bram de Vissel, actually. Is it?
I think so. The other Mercedes is on.
Is that swap stuff? No, he's in the valet. So it is Bram de Vissel, actually, yeah. It's 2 tenths up.
He is 2 tenths up on his time, so this should be a pretty quality time if he can keep it hooked up. And if he can really expend some of that energy. Still got about half of it down the back straight, having come out of it. So he will be completely out as he comes up to the line now. And what sort of time is the Mercedes going to be able to set? His previous one was 1:30.0908. He's gone up into 3rd place with a 1:30.561. So a huge improvement in terms of positioning that sees him jump into the podium positions. Pavlos and Duncan, or Mad Dogs? Mad Dogs are coming up to the line. Mad Dogs is leading the pair. So we're going to watch on board with the Alpine now as he invalidates his lap. So we're going to watch on board with Pavlos now as he doesn't invalidate his lap and comes through the that section with relative ease, to be fair. And then he'll come around the final couple of... Or he makes it look easy. I know it's not easy, having played this game myself. But Pavlos has improved by a 10th and a bit. And he goes up into P9. Nico's invalidated, by the way, but he was on for a 1:29. So the pace tonight is really being set by the Red Bull man.
Is Misha doing that same ERS thing, just running out much early across the line? Goes fastest anyway, 1:30.3, but I'm still really interested by the ERS usage from Misha there, just running out on none for practically the entire run up the line. It's really, really bamboozling me. As next car across the line is Holly Woman's lap. So who is it then? Is it Junkie?
It is going to be
Junkie.
Junkie.
Yes, he is Junkie. It's almost 4 tenths up. Cross line, got ERS. Goes P3. That's good time. 1:30.4. Just behind the top 2. Next is going to be Kinsman. Or Kinskman. Alright. This goes cross line. And he steals P3 away from Junkie. 7 thousandths of a second by Nico. So the pace is ramping up here in Tier 4 tonight. But yeah, I think it's going to be crucial now for Nico, Misha, and the rest of them. Trisco invalidated. He was well up, actually. He was well up to be on a low 30. It's now important they get these laps in that are valid and not making mistakes. Otherwise, it's just going to pay them a lot. Will cost them a lot. As we see Ollie Hornby going through the chicane, using a lot of it. Let's see his middle sector split. 3.5 tenths up onto the back straight there. Using a lot of his ERS, almost running out of fuel. He's going to have a slow in-lap into the pits then. The DRS letterbox opens. That's Martin who's lost a half front wing. Well, that's Misha. It's Misha because he's only Aston Martin tonight. So he's at the wall. That's Ollie Hornby. Makes his way round, slaps the wall. That's probably cost him a lot of time. Leaving what 10% ERS on the run to the line. And let's see where this jumps in. Takes him to P8, 3 and almost a half behind Misha. So this is a very, very close grid. Obviously the range is still 7 tenths. But to P8, it's 3 tenths. This can be anyone's pole at this minute.
Yeah, and it's the split between the individual drivers with Misha he's under half a tenth ahead of Nico. Kinksman just 7 thousandths behind Nico, and then Junkie Angle under a tenth behind. Bram de Vissel just over a tenth behind, and then Triscay and Knight still in that 0.5 time. Ollie Hornby as well, only 4 hundredths behind. So it's incredibly close. And one of the drivers who's sort of out of it at the moment, AMS Wards, he is looking to find himself back in there, and he is improving. He is finding time in the first 2 sectors. We'll see what the Red Bull is able to do in the final sector, and whether he is able to improve on his time. Again, about half of his ERS left as he slaps the wall on the entry and on the exit of the final braking zone. As Trisco goes quickest, 3 tenths, and he's slapped a gauntlet down, has the Ferrari. AMS Wards the latest across the line in P10, but Triscay improving by just under 5 tenths there to really, really set an incredible time. Nico, he's not improving in that first sector. What can he do in that second one? He's going to invalidate on his lap and slap his rear for good measure, which is something that I do quite regularly. But he has invalidated on his lap. He's not improved. Mad Dogs is going to be across the line next, I believe, and he will be... Well, he's up on his time at the moment. We'll see if he's able to make it through this chicane, which has been more difficult for drivers than it appears. It is going to be more difficult for drivers than it appears. And Mad Dogs, the latest to receive a tank slapper, and so his lap will not be an improvement. AMS Wards isn't going for a lap. Duncan, though, is, and he's 3 tenths up. He's got that tricky corner section to go that has caught out at least 2 drivers that we've been riding on board with. Could this be a third? No, it's not, as he makes his way through it, making it look easy for the rest of the drivers. He is 3 and a bit tenths up in the first 2 sectors. That will slot him in about 6th or 7th, but he'll want better than that. Never mind. Duncan comes into the pits, and he will not be improving.
Very interested by the pit entry from Duncan. Maybe if someone's seen it, they might report it, because I'm not sure it's allowed. But anyway, it's going to be, I think, a very interesting final run. A lot of drivers up. 3 tenths up in particular. I see a lot of drivers 3 tenths up. So I think it's going to be still a very, very close fight for pole. Triscay might have got it in the bag with a 30.0, but we never know at this point. Some drivers might go even 29s, which would be great for Tier 4. As if the first one to start their final lap is going to be AMS Knight, followed by whoever was ahead between Gebardi and Pavlos. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested by Duncan deciding to back out of it last second, because it probably would have still got him up to P5, but now he's sacrificed that for an even better chance. But it's higher risk and higher reward, really, for Duncan now. If he bottles it, he's just lost himself at a good position to start. But if he goes faster, then it's great. So I'm seeing never mind. But so first will be AMS Knight. He might have. Maybe no. Why would I? No, not at all. So everyone's gonna have 1 lap, Who's that coming out of the pit lane? Ward is going to be quite tight for time. He's going now, starting to back straight on 130 to go. With AMS Knight now, barreling down towards the start line on medium ERS, which is very interesting. He'd typically be on none. But anyway, starting his lap. As he heads into turn 1. Applies the brakes. Gear 3, which is a new low. As he still gets good exits. Swings it right. It's quite long right, this one. DRS wide open and onto the first of the back straights. Not the long one, but still an important one. And here's an important braking zone into this interesting... Because it has to use so much curb to be able to use it efficiently. As he's 10th up after the first sector, almost a 10th and a half actually. As he... Ooh, that's a bit wide, but it's fine. Still gets the power down, slaps the wall a bit, but still has got it intact. He barrels down towards now this very crucial chicane, probably the most important corner of them all. As he sends it, uses a lot of curb. That is brilliant, but it's not that brilliant. He's lost some time in the middle sector. Obviously, that chicane didn't look perfect, but that left hand they just did that was quite perfect actually. So DRS is now wide open as he heads down now into this braking zone, which has caught out many drivers. He's really sending the wheel into this last chicane. He's got it sorted. Now it's just run to a line. Is he going to keep ERS? He is going to keep ERS. Seeing some drivers not. Giving him a lot more speed. Across the line, let's see where he brings him. Only P5, I'm sure he would have better, but... Who's next? Ollie's not on the lap. Pavlos is, I think. Yep. Is he? No, he's not. I think it's now Gobardi. He's 10th and a bit up. Onto a line. Let's see where he brings him. He goes to P10. 7/10 off. Brown de Wiesel across the line. Doesn't improve by... Actually goes 1,000 slower. Who's next? I think it's Kinksman. Well, it's not. It's backed out, so it'll be Junkie Angle, who's just a bit down. He's probably distracted from Miss McLaren in the last chicane. That could be a impeding penalty. So keep an eye on Nico as well, heading through the last chicane. But first, it's going to be Kinksman. Kinskman. He's pitting. Duncan's up in the... Mad Dog goes 5th fastest. What about Nico? He goes fastest, 1:29.9. That's a great pole. That's AMS Misha. He just goes straight on like he's got brake failure. And he resets the track, GG. But Duncan only goes 2/10 faster almost, 1.5 tenths, which is... So he has sacrificed his run previously for a worse run on his last run, which is very surprising. But that's qualifying done for you as Nico takes pole with 29.9.
Yeah, Nico, the only driver to dip into the 29s in that session. But towards the end, that was just a little bit dramatic as Nico managed to improve. Triscane validated 2/10 up on his lap. And Misha, we saw what happened with him when he just completely sent it into the wall. But the confirmation then of your grid, Nico taking that pole position just under a 10th ahead of Triscane. Then it's 3 whole tenths back to Misha and Kinksman. But then it's pretty close from then on with Mad Dogs, AMS Knight, Junkie Angle, Bram de Wissel, Duncan, and then Ollie Hornby taking that final spot in that top 10 with Abe Gabadi, AMS Wards, and Pavlos rounding out your grid. But yeah, as you mentioned it there, Duncan just, he gambled. The gamble did not pay off for him, but he is one of those drivers that we know can be quick. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he fights it back in the race. But yeah, there we go. Nico taking that pole position, continuing his speed through the season, and well, he's currently in P2 in the standings. The current championship leader finds himself in P2 in this race, or in this qualifying session at least, and then 3rd in the championship finds himself 9th with 4th in the championship once again all the way down the grid. That is Pavlos, who is starting from the rear, 1.5 tenths off, but I'm sure we'll see him, as we did last time out, make a fight back in the race.
Yeah, but now the driver's just retiring. But little fact for you gents watching the stream. tuning into Tier 4. The pole time has beaten Tier 3s again. The streak continues as lower tiers consistently now are beating Tier 3's pole from last season and still carried on to this season. So Tier 3's pole's at 30.0 and our pole's at 29.9 as Misha's the exact same thing. Oh, that goes into the air, but yeah, I mean, Tier 4 drivers are absolutely going for it here. It's faster than some Tier 3s. Maybe we'll see them progress up to ranks next season, but this is impressive stuff from Nico with 29.9.
But yes, and that is an impressive lap. I'm just looking through now the rest of the console races tonight, because these aren't the only two going on. We have got Tier 5 and Tier 6 being streamed. Tier 5 was it wasn't beating that pole time, and then Tier 6, well, I'm not sure what happened in Tier 6 because I can't quite see it. It looks like it was a 30.4, so not quite as quick a lap. But in the end, it was Nico who took that pole position and would have taken pole position in all of the tiers that we have racing tonight. We'll wait and see tomorrow whether it beats Tier 1 or Tier 2 pole. Tier 2 being where you race, obviously. And, well, you picked up another podium last week. Talk us through that.
Well, last week, if you lot were watching Tier 2, it was very interesting race. I think it was a race is probably a bit closer to Tier 4, except we have a lot more DNS, obviously. But yeah, I mean, with the smoke last week, it was hard, obviously. So I can understand now the Tier 4 drivers also experiencing the smoke was pretty bad, and the smoke, I can confirm, was absolutely horrible. But yeah, I mean, it was a good race, had a good pace. Started P2 on the grid and just took it from there. I mean, it was great. It's a good podium.
Do you reckon you're on for another one this weekend?
Ooh, I don't know about that. The Vegas is obviously, we'll see tonight with DRS. There's going to be a lot of DRS games, I reckon. We're going to see tonight an example of what you might see tomorrow for Tier 2 and Tier 1. So, obviously, if you're watching this as a Tier 1 or Tier 2 driver, obviously like I am, you might want to take notes and see how people are treating this DRS and where people are starting their final lap and how they do the ERS management. But yeah, I mean, I think tomorrow with both tiers, Tier 1 and Tier 2, it's going to be quite the ride compared to Singapore. I mean, obviously Tier 1 had a pretty chaotic Singapore, but I think Vegas is going to be another big one because obviously with DRS and the back straight was the longest straight of them all by far as well. I had a look during qualifying. It is the longest straight by I think 700 meters. So car positionment and ERS management is critical. We're just going to see it today, and it's going to transfer into tomorrow. So
yeah, and well, I mean, the skill gap isn't actually too much between Tier 4 and Tier 2. So yeah, it is probably a race to make notes on, especially if you are right and we did actually beat the Tier 3 pole time. So yeah, notes to be taken by some of the drivers racing tomorrow. Make sure to join us then. But for now, you're here with our Tier 4 action, and we are getting going within the next few minutes. Not sure when that will be, but now is a perfect time to get predictions in. Who is going to win this race?
oh, I mean, it's Vegas. It's quite unpredictable to win. I have genuinely no idea who might win this race tonight because it could be between Nico. Nico's got the pace. It could be Triske. He's got also the pace to be there. So it could be really anyone. If you play smart and get all the RS and DRS right, it could be anyone's game really tonight. So we'll see how it unfolds throughout the race. But I have no prediction at the minute. It's going to be, if I had to make a prediction, I think Triske. I think he's in the perfect position. If he just manages and holds on throughout the entire race to the front pack, I think Triske could take the win and extend his championship lead.
Triske, who's had 2 out of 3 wins so far this season. The other one going the man on pole position. Nico, last time out in Singapore. Trisco finishing a disappointing 6th place in the end there, out of 9 in the end finishers. But, I mean, yeah, he does have an 18-point gap in the championship. He has demonstrated the pace so far this season. It's just whether he can back it up tonight as we are now loading into the lobby. We will see. It will all become available information as to whether Trisco is able to keep up that pace, as to whether Nico is able to keep up that pace, and then Duncan and Pavlos 3rd and 4th, whether they can fight back and demonstrate the pace that we know that they have in these early season proceedings. The likes of Wards, though, I'm just having a look now. Wards, Ollie Hornby, who else? Ave Gabadi and Misha, all are pointless. And the only one with an excuse for that is Wards, who has not raced yet. So lots of drivers looking to prove themselves tonight. Lots of drivers looking to continue their progress. And it should be exciting. The preparations could clash. And, well, speaking of preparations, let's have a look at tyre strategy. Nico currently sitting on those mediums. Trisco, though, has opted for the hards. That will be the toss-up. It will either be the hards to the mediums or the mediums to the hards. Those are the two strategies that the drivers are realistically going to go for tonight. Unless they go for a little soft gamble, we're very capable of having an early safety car here in Tier 4 last time out. I don't think we had a full safety car, unless I'm
virtuals. Yeah,
we had a virtual. Yeah,
definitely virtual.
We definitely had at least a virtual safety car, but well, maybe tonight is the night of the real safety car, and then we saw the action die down quite quickly after that. But yeah, getting going as soon as we can, and right, we're getting going in the next couple of minutes. And Nico, who's on pole position, will attempt to lead us away. He has switched to the hard compound of tyre. So the hards, seemingly a popular strategy this evening. Mad Dogs, Junkie Angle, and Ollie Hornby, the only ones at the moment to go against that. And, well, we'll see how that transpires in the race. It could be an absolute masterstroke, or it could be a real race killer. As when you're on the hards, when everyone else is on the hards as well, you know that it's less of a gamble. I was commentating on a different league last night, and people opted for the mediums for the start stint just because they were trying to break away from the rest of the field. In the end, it didn't work, and the hard runners were able to catch back up. I think that will be the same situation here because it was Abu Dhabi, so it's the long DRS straight, and it was actually a double DRS straight in Abu Dhabi. Here, it's just one big long straight. So it's going to be difficult for drivers to break away unless they've already got that gap of that second, or if it'll be a mistake. And yeah, we are just moments away from the race start here in Las Vegas, round 4 of the console Tier 4 season. That is, we're almost halfway through. There's only 10 rounds in this season, one down from last season when we had 11. And there's still so much more to be decided. And there's still so much longer to go in this season. I mean, we're in Las Vegas. We've got 2 more months to go until the season finishes. 2 months and 2 months and 2 days to the dot before this season ends in Sao Paulo, at least for the console side. And yeah, we've got 2 more races as well until we break for the winter, which will be devastating. We will miss the WOR action so much, but there'll be a lot to catch up on. We've got VODs everywhere. You can, if you choose to tune in to the Tier 4 action tonight, maybe you can watch the Tier 3 action tomorrow, or the Tier 1 and 2 action tomorrow, but then you can catch up on the Tier 3 action, on all the other action. So there's no shortage of places and no shortage of content to get your fix. We should be getting going in just a couple of seconds time, and we will be going to the 5 red lights for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. It's lights and it's action. We are away under the lights here in Vegas. Trisco gets a good start. Nico gets a poor one, and he's going to be overtaken by Misha into turn number 1. Kingsman on the inside now of Nico. He could be making that move, or he could be looking further back as Mad Dogs gets a good exit out of turn number 2, and he is able to fight with Kingsman at least for that P4 spot, but not if AMS Knight has anything to say about it. He's going to make that move into P5, and the RB moves up. Junkie Angle now looking to the inside of Mad Dogs, and he's not going to make that move. Brandon Vissel and Ollie Hornby side by side as we head now through to the second sector. Ollie Hornby with a huge send around the outside. Is he able to make this move stick? I don't think he kept it on the track, but he was able to get past Brandon Vissel at least. And Brandon Vissel trying to fight back, but Ollie Hornby on those medium compound of tyre, he's not going to be able to do anything. Brandon Vissel isn't going to have any fight back. Only Ollie Hornby and Junkie Angle on those mediums, so they're going to want to make incredibly quick progress, especially before the DRS is available. Junkie Angle looking at the rear of Mad Dogs now as they head down the straight, and this is now a drag race. Who has put on the lower wings? Who is going to be quickest down the straight? It's looking like Nico's going to be incredibly quick down the straight, passing Misha with with ease and without the slipstream as well. He's got Triske just ahead of him, who breaks very deep into the chicane, but he's managed to come out at the other side okay, and the Ferrari will lead at the end of lap 1. Nico, yeah, he's certainly set up for that straight and for these straights, because remember, that's not the only one, but Triske leads at the end of lap 1.
Seeing a lot of mistakes going on in lap 1. Obviously, we saw Ollie Hornby down the outside of the chicane, but I've been watching. Junkie Angle has made, and I think a lot of people are going to get caught out now by that left flick. Well, not left flick, 90 degree left-hander for the back straight. I see Ollie Hornby continuing to make moves on his mediums up to 7th place now. It's very crucial on this medium. Someone's ghosting. I think that might be Mad Dog's ghosting, so you can't overtake while someone's ghosted. As Ollie Hornby has a massive slide into the chicane, but I think now the mistakes are going to start creeping. Obviously, we've already seen quite a few mistakes on the opening lap, and now the tire's just going to get worse. So I think obviously the chicane the last chicane and this corner going up to now, the 90 degree left hand now, I was referencing about seeing a lot of people hit the wall already, and Junkie Angle getting a poor X on the mediums. So Ollie Hornby now going to have shaping up a move on him, trying to go around the outside. The DRS is going to be enabled it's already enabled, but it's going to be opened in a few seconds. And also for Nico, who's side by side with Triske on the back straight, and gets into the lead. As meanwhile, Ollie Hornby is still fighting for that 5th position, as he moves up to 6th now. And there's a car in a wall in the background. I think that might have been Mad Dogs having a smooch with the barriers. Has he got damage? I don't think so, but a lot of cars almost 3 wide onto the main straight at the back, as Ave Gabardi taking a very wide racing line, hitting the wall in fact, as a big mess of cars fighting for these last few points positions. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th, with Pavlos in there as well, fighting for the top spots for championships. This is very crucial when he gets past this. They've broken away from DRS already. There's 3 trains already. The top 4, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, and we've got 9th down to last. So these DRS trains are now very, very crucial, because the leading pack have now got to maintain it against Junkie Angle and Ollie Hornby as they continue to trade positions at the back. It's very critical now to maintain that train, because if they maintain that train all the way until the pit stop, it's going to increase their lead quite substantially now. So they can have their fight on their own, while the others have their fight. But obviously Junkie Angle and Ollie on the medium, so they're going to be expecting to catch up, and obviously now they're going to be trading positions to catch up. But now it's just a sitting game until pretty much the end. You're just going to be trading DRS, working together with few drivers, in fact. The most efficient way to come back at the leaders, as Triske looks for a little move into last chicane, but obviously a bit too far. But just letting Nico know he's in his mirrors and he's still there, and Nico is not off light. But approaching start of lap 4 now, as Ollie Hornby now 2 seconds from Kingsman. It could be over now for Ollie, unless it's a safety car, for the chances for being in the top 4. But at least it's a P5 with his mediums, so he's made good progress. But now he's going to probably have to go on the hards later, which is going to reverse his progress a bit, as others are going to transition onto mediums.
Yeah, and that's going to be the difficulty for Ollie Hornby and Junkie Angle tonight, where they were unable to make the progress that they needed to in the first stint. Obviously, they still have time, and they have actually gained on Kingsman in that first sector down to 1.9 seconds, but they need to gain 9 more tenths. They need to slash that gap in half if they want any chance of fighting ahead in this race, because, yeah, the transition between the mediums and the hards, that will be incredibly difficult for them to deal with. It's also the fact that the mediums, they're not going to last too much longer. There's still going to be a bit of life in them, but they're not going to last too much longer, especially if they're pushing them like they were to try to get ahead. And at the moment, yeah, Junkie Angle 1.9 seconds behind. AMS Knight actually making his way past Ollie Hornby, who didn't have the DRS down that straight, and he has just lost out. And that is where Junkie Angle's going to lose that, because he's lost 7 tenths on the lead pack. The lead pack that sees a new leader as Triske takes the lead of the race ahead of now AMS Misha, with Nico just slotting in behind and Kinksman just staying in there as well. But end of lap 5 now. Triske is your new race leader. Junkie Angle is now the new leader of that second pack, but Nico looking to fight with AMS Misha. He wants that second place back. Third place is not good enough for him. He wants to be able to apply pressure directly onto Triske, and now he's going to come out of the first section. And can he keep the power down? Is it going to be enough to fight with the Aston Martin? It's not, because the Aston Martin has that DRS, and it's not a long enough straight for it to have any significant difference. So Misha and Nico and Kinksman just sitting behind now with Junkie Angle 2.4 seconds back.
Yeah, it's getting now tasty at the front. I think you said Triske had taken the lead. Actually, I think it was Misha sending one on Nico, so I think Triske had held the lead. But now it's going to get interesting. Obviously, Junkie Angle, MS Knight, and Ollie Hornby were kind of messing about too much and made too many mistakes. Now we're 2 seconds back. They've kind of reduced the gap a bit this lap already on the mediums, but now the top 4 are just going to go at it. And now actually it could allow the chance for AMS Knights to slowly creep back on the top 4 if they keep fighting like this, which they are. There's a yellow flag. Mad Dogs is out. Could this bring a safety car? It is a safety car, as Nico just gets past MS Misha. But this goes into the hands of Junkie Angle and Ollie Hornby, who are on the medium tyre to now fit on the hards. But, and there's a big but here, the tyre wear in Vegas is actually not that high due to the cool temperatures. So maybe those hard runners are now going to fit on the mediums towards all the way to the end of the race, as AMS Knight gets a 10-second time penalty for collision with Junkie Angle. But are now people going to put on the mediums? None of the top 4 are electing. Junkie Angle on his mediums obviously going to come in. AMS Knight into probably, so his penalty is Ollie Hornby in as well. So there, and Ave Gabardi I think went off, but I'm surprised none of them really dived into the medium, unless they're predicting another sort of safety car. Because I think the mediums, well, based on data from career mode, I haven't actually tested it on regular cars, the medium should be good enough. It should have still somewhat, should be on about 50 maybe % by the end of the race. You fit them now, maybe more, but it should be good, as Gabardi puts on the softs. It should be good maybe for AMS Knight to get to the end of the race, but you're not going to be fast at the end of the race. You need the traction, you need the grip at a track like Vegas. So obviously, it's kind of 50-50 here. You either stay out and hope for another safety car, or something else, or you gamble like, well, AMS Knight had to serve his penalty, but you gamble on the medium still at the end. So, well, I mean, we'll see. I was more expecting some medium soft strategies, if I'm honest, but I'm also not very surprised that people have taken the safe side with the tyre wear. But because obviously the fact they're not pitting means there's still some good life in these hards, so maybe the tyre wear is lower than they were maybe expecting. Depends obviously on how much race practice you've done, as I know someone called Ollie hasn't done much practice, but I mean, we'll see. It's going to get tasty, obviously. So, obviously, as I said, in qualifying, it's much different already from last week. I've probably got more action in a few minutes just now than the entire of last week. But it's going to be just really exciting from here on in. And you're not going to want to miss this.
No, you're certainly not going to want to miss this, because it's brewing at the moment. You can sense that there's an air of tension here in Vegas with Triske, Nico and Misha. They had little scraps early on, but that could elevate to a full-blown fight. We saw a full-blown fight say that 3 times fast, with Trisket and Nico not last time out, in the USA. That also involved Pavlos, which was the battle for the race lead. In the end, Nico won on track, but he was not the one handed the lead, as that was Trisket. But my point being that we've seen it before, where these drivers can get their elbows out. They can fight properly for those positions, and I'm sure they're going to try to, because I say they can fight properly. They have a tendency to do exactly that. As AMS Knight goes back into the pits, he comes back out on those hards. So maybe the tyre wear's even... It's so good that Knight thinks that he can only do 1 lap on the mediums. The rest of the race, he thinks he's going to be able to do on those hards. We'll see. I find that unlikely. But we will see whether that strategy pays off. I think the safety car is going to be in at the end of this lap, and we will be waving green flags on lap 8 of this Grand Prix. And, well, for Trisket, for Nico, for Misha, it can't come soon enough.
Yeah, obviously, as you mentioned, now going back on the hards, but obviously he had that 10-second time penalty, so you took the opportunity to serve it for a collision with Junkie, so you might as well just serve it in a safety car. But yeah, I think the fact that he goes back on the hards, that kind of confirms it. The hards might be able to go to the end of a race from here, and AMS Knight could have pulled off a blinder here, as I think the safety car is about to come in any second now, I'd assume, because everyone's here. So, or if Gabardi is going to be rapid on the softs actually compared to these hards around him, so he expects him to jump up the order and maybe even stick onto the front pack. Safety car, is it going in? Hello, safety car, Burn. There we go. Safety car in this lap. So now Trisket, that's quite late actually, but Trisket is now going to back up the field onto the safety car restart. The rear end is still quite spread out actually, as Trisket goes into a nice and relaxed pace. 100 kilometers an hour is gone already. That is very, very, very early. Too early, maybe? Maybe on a limiter now. Safety car limiter, is he going to be... Is it... I think it's fine. Right. Trisket now leads on the safety car restart. It's very early. I think it's quite a lot of people actually, but Trisket maintains lead from Nico, from Misha, from we'll call him Kins for the rest of the race. I'll make it simple. It's Junkie Angle and the rear lot are fighting again. Already there's a big split. 2 seconds already from Junkie Angle all the way to Duncan. So something's happened there as AMS Knight tries to carve his way and does through Pavlos, and Gabardi, as I mentioned on the softs, now is going to be rapid up to 9th ahead of Ollie Hornby, who's had a very interesting race obviously, but on the medium start as he's now fit the hard obviously to try to go to the end of a race. But now it's kind of relaxed. It's probably a bit more relaxed now than it will be in a couple of moments time once the DRS gets activated. But maybe Gabardi, if he gets past, as Kins has had a mistake, clearly, dropping back from that corner I was mentioning, is going to make a lot of people trip out, and... Oh, that's not the right term. It's going to make a lot of people fall out, as Nico takes the lead of a race from Trisket as we say that, but Kins just losing a couple of positions there, and now bridging the gap between Junkie Angle and Duncan for DRS. But Nico, crucially now, takes the lead away from Trisket. Misha still sat in third, and Bram de Wiesel in 4th. And Misha Bram has used a very extensive amount of ERS. I'm very interested by that, because Trisket is still almost at 100%, but Misha is on 21%-ish. So, and so is Bram. So maybe he's had a big fight, but that's a lot of ERS used for these opening stages of the Tesco restart.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much now or never for some of the drivers who feel as though they're trying to fight forward and they're trying to take that track position before the track position takes them, and they're unable to stay ahead. But yeah, I mean, for Misha, it's now a case of just sitting behind, waiting for Trisket or Nico to make a mistake, because they've proven that they have the pace even without using that ERS, and that'll be slightly scary for Misha, because he's sitting in behind. He wants to make that move on Trisket or Nico, but he's currently unable to. And, well, with the pace that they're demonstrating, that will be scaring him. He has broken DRS, though, to Bram de Wiesel, So he's not looking behind, although he may be, as AMS Ward looks to the outside line. The pink sheen coming off the cars because of the advertising hoardings, and he will take that P4 with Triscay taking the lead of the race back off of Nico. So just DRS switching. You can see that trains, pelotons have started to be built. And for Triscay, Nico and Misha, I'm sure they'll be pretty happy with the fact that they are in now a 3-car peloton. That means that unless anything happens, fingers crossed, they are pretty much guaranteed a podium. I mean, AMS Sports is only 1.7 seconds back as Nico almost goes into the back of Triscay. Abe Gabadi sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and Nico he's right on the rear of the Ferrari. He wants to get this move done, and he wants to take that lead on the track position as Duncan has had an issue. He's had a spin, and he drops down into P11. Abe Gabadi makes his way past Kingsman, and yeah, Duncan not his day so far, down in P11. Only ahead of Pavlos. Nico and Misha still tucking in behind Triscay, but the DRS is coming up very, very soon.
You're mentioning how AMS was. He's only 1.5 now to the front peloton, but arguably it's one of the trickiest tracks to make up that 1.7 seconds you're talking about, because yes, you're DRS switching, but there's still the entire peloton up front. There's going to be DRS eating each other, so it's arguably the hardest track to close up this gap between pelotons, as now there's going to be a trade for the lead again, as Nico takes back the lead from Triscay. Is Misha going to stick a nose up the inside? No, he's not, or hasn't yet, as there's still a big fight going on for that P4. Gabadi moves up to P5, so that's good work of his softs, but obviously he's on the soft, so he's going to pick again. Kinsman with a little bit of contact with Oli Hombi, and Pavlos picks up a 3-second in last. What's happened to him, I don't know, but still lots of battling going on. As I was saying, obviously with safety car restart, that was kind of a calm before the storm. Now's the storm. It's arrived with the two pelotons split up. We've got the front three, and now AMS Woods, who's now 2 seconds behind Misha. So the gap has grown, unless Gabadi makes a move here, which I don't think he is. Or is he? No, he's not. So Gabadi is probably going to wait until the main straight, but careful to not wait too long until the softs are used up, because now he's just going to have no pace when the softs are done. And they reach that crucial cliff of 25% tyre wear, where the tyre just drops, and obviously you need to be aware because you've got a big train behind you. But the top three, as you were saying, are probably just delighted right now. It's just them. They can just trade positions until the end. Well, until the end, but there's still the pit stops to come. We're lap 11 of 25. These lot are on hards. They're kind of hoping another safety car comes, but we're probably hoping, but they're now going to keep trading until pit stops, as now Gabadi, as I was saying before, he's now going to set up a move, and has already made the move before DRS on, what has he? He has. Now, definitely, on Wards, as Triscay takes the lead. Yes, he is taking the lead! And Misha sticks up a nose and spins! AMS Misha in the barriers. Yellow flag. Junkie Angle has crashed. Virtual safety car deployed. Misha now loses his entire front wing. What has gone on? That is utter disaster for the Aston Martin. As Oli Omi makes up a 3 second, but that's an utter disaster. MS Ward sneaks into the pits. Duncan Knight back in the pits, but that is absolute disaster for Misha. But those have now, is that safety? Is that full safety car? It is a full safety car. It's just virtual on my screen. So those who've just pitted, AMS Ward, Duncan, Knight, Pavlos, Misha, despite hitting the wall, they're now in prime position to win the race. They're going to have fresher tyres. Well, not fresh tyres because they're going to pit, but they're now going to have track position over all of them who just stayed out. Triscay, Nico, Gabadi, Wiesel, Ollie Hornby, and Kinsman. They're going to find themselves, well, exactly switching positions with those who've just pitted. Because obviously they've had past the pit entry, most of them. Especially that front three. Well, I say front three, it's front two because one crashed, but that's just flipped the coin of the race. I mean, that's a disaster for most of them. Complete disaster. And Misha, despite crashing, he's still going to be in this because he had pitted, because he had no front wing. So Misha, because obviously we saw Junkie Angle crashing, has he technically pulled off a masterclass by crashing into the barriers after sticking a nose up and losing it into the chicane?
Well, I'm sure I mentioned Crashgate at some point last week. Not to say anything specifically, but yeah. I mean, it's hard to avoid, isn't it? That sort of topic. But I don't think Misha did that on purpose. But I mean,
no,
it has cost Triskay and Nico. It's cost Triskay and Nico. It's cost Ave Gabadi. It's cost Bram de Vissel and Kingsman quite a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of these come into the pits at the end of this lap, especially Ave Gabadi. As Triskay, Nico, Gabadi, Bram de Vissel, Kingsman, all of them are all coming into the pits. Ollie Hornby is going to lead this race on 7-lap-old hards. Not sure what that strategy is now, and I'm sure he doesn't either. But yeah, coming into the pits, Triskay, Bram de Vissel, Nico, all onto the medium compounded tyre, with Kingsman following, as is Ave Gabadi. So we have got everybody apart from Ollie Hornby on the grid now on brand new medium compounds of tyre. But for Triskay and Nico, it's really that safety car came out at an absolutely horrendous time for the Ferrari and the Red Bull. They are now from a dominant 1-2, 7th and 8th. And although Ollie Hornby will lead us away, but we can pretty much say that Wards is the leader of this race with 12 laps left to go in this one. Kingsman will catch up to the back of the grid, and so the safety car is probably going to dive back in this on this lap, with us desperate and raring for the action to get going again. But new names have risen to the top of the timesheets. Ollie Hornby, ASMS Wards, Duncan and Knight and Pavlos. So the 5 that were down at the bottom of the field, they now find themselves right at the very pinnacle.
Yeah, but it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this restart is going to unfold. Perhaps Ollie had stayed out because I think if he had come in, I think he'd be dead last. He'd be P11. So this track position gain for Ollie was probably more worth it than just pitting for another fresh set of mediums. But obviously that comes with a problem. He's going to have a lot less grip than everyone else. So he's going to get very, very quickly eaten up, I think, by AMS Wards and Duncan, and probably AMS Knight. Might have something like a little treaty with Pavlos, perhaps. But the safety car is now going to come in this lap. It's come in the same place as it has last lap. So Ollie's now going to take the charge. I wonder if he's going to go as early as the last safety car restart. It has not gone yet, but he knows he's going to get swallowed very quickly. He's half gone. He's not really going to. It's quite fast to go for a safety car restart. I'm not going to lie, but he does what he wants. As we're going racing, back on the way, as Ward's immediately onto Hornby. He sends one down the inside. Nope, backs out of it. Ollie keeps the lead, but loses grip out of turn 1, and now it's all a big shuffle up and down the grid as Duncan goes round the outside of Ward and takes a second place away from him, and now he's going to be setting up Ollie Hornby on his old hards into the braking zone as MS Knight gets past, or back past Pavlos for 4th position, as they keep shuffling positions. But now it's going to get slightly calm into the chicane, as he can't really, well, that's going to get calm as Ollie completely misses the corner, gets a 3-second time penalty. It's now up to 6 for Ollie, so now he's completely ruined himself, and I think that stretch has not gone well at all for him. But he still leads the race, but it's going to be very quickly menaced by Duncan on his fresh mediums, as WOR 6, a very interesting racing line, as Ollie Hornby misses the corner, almost goes in the barriers, and loses 2 positions immediately, and potentially losing another one to MS Knight in a second on his much better mediums. But now it's just shuffling. We're seeing 2 free wide perhaps into this last chicane, as we see who's going to be leading after this one. It's Duncan in the lead, but Ollie, Pavlos coming into P3 now. There's a little bit of contact up and down the grid, but they've got all got through, as Duncan now leads, MS Knight in 2nd, Pavlos in 3rd, Wars dropping to 4th, and Ollie down to 5th after a horrific restart, and not a great chicane of the sphere at all, as Triskay going to go for it already into turn 1 on it's 3 wide, and I think Triskay, I can't see from the off-board cam. It might have had a bottleneck, but Ollie back around the outside of Wards. Wow, the grip might still be there, you know, on the hard, but we're gonna have to see now. As I'm starting to lose my voice, so over to you, Cots.
Triscay to the inside of AMS Wards. He could make this move. There's contact, though, between the two that's broken the momentum of the Ferrari. And so AMS Wards will hold on to P5 for the time being. But now he'll be looking further forward than behind. He'll want to get past Ollie Hornby into that P4 spot. Those tyres wearing and wearing for the Williams as they head now out into Sector 2. With AMS Wards closing and closing on Ollie Hornby. He just needs a mistake. Then there's been a fair few of those since the safety car restart. And Wards just sitting there behind Duncan in the lead of the race in the meantime. He is dominant. Well, he has the pace to be dominant. And after this safety car restart, he has been. And AMS Knight, though, looking to prove me completely wrong as he heads down before even getting the DRS and takes the lead of this race. It's so far so bad for Duncan, and it could get even worse. Pavlos makes his way past Ollie Hornby, not quite close enough to make his way past as well. Abe Gabadi and Naomi Misha having maybe contact. Abe Gabadi definitely missing the apex into the chicane, and he drops behind Misha now, who's having, I believe, some lag problems, and that means that Bram de Vissel gets to come into the battle. But we'll look further up, and we'll look at Triscay, who's to the inside of Ollie Hornby into turn number 1. What a simple move he's made that look, but Ollie Hornby on the exit. The switchback could be on for the Williams, but he just doesn't have the grip to make that move stick. And now there's swarming Red Bulls on the rear of that Williams still, as Triscay has sliced his way through. And, well, especially for the one behind, Nico, he's certainly going to want to make his way up the field as quickly as he possibly can. And it looks like Ollie Hornby's had a wobble on the exit, or he's let AMS Wards through. Either way, the first Red Bulls through into the lead of, well, into P5, into the lead of this battle. Nico to the outside line. Ollie Hornby cutting him off. And Nico will stay in P7 just behind Ollie Hornby. He'll be frustrated that he's not able to make the progression that his teammate is currently able to make, because now Wards is only 3/10 behind Triscay. But Nico just literally sticking to the rear of the Williams. It will be the DRS down the back straight that should give Nico the position. He's been so quick so far this race. I think he's got the lowest wings of everybody. And the Red Bull finds his way up into P6, and now he can make his way forward. Bram de Vissel making contact with Ollie Hornby as he gets his elbows out, trying to hold that position. And Ollie Hornby further contact as he just tries to hold the outside line. Bram de Vissel sending it, and Ollie Hornby tapping the inside and the outside wall. And he drops down to P9. Abe Gabadi slots through into P number 8. But lap 16 of this Grand Prix, and AMS Knight leads this race ahead of Pavlos, with Duncan dropping to 3rd straight after I said that he was looking as though he was able to be dominant. Kingsman taking their final position off of Misha. Since the safety car, it's really not been their day. And so 10th and 11th is what they're left to scrap for, whereas they were battling for P4 and P5 earlier on. Speaking of battling higher up, it's Abe Gabadi and Bram de Vissel. The Haas to the inside of the Mercedes. And that's a pretty professional move if I've ever seen one. Abe Gabadi slicing his way up to P7. And the battles will continue. The pace for some of these drivers is exemplary. It's certainly better than those ahead. And I think Knight, Pavlos and Duncan are the next victims.
Yeah, the mistakes are now creeping in. Obviously, we saw Abe Gabadi a couple laps ago with that big slide into the last chicane, and obviously now with trading positions. But it's now just one big train down to P10 of Keynes and Misha. So obviously Ollie, his strategy has not worked out at all for him. Still already down to P9 and at the back of a train, as Pavlos is about to take the lead away from AMS Knight round the outside. This could get tasty as Triscay goes for it into P2. What a move! Never mind, that's not gone well at all. As Triscay, oh dear, that's, yeah, down to 9th. That's not ideal, but Pavlos now leads with a gap to Duncan, so he's going to be happy with that. But obviously, he was not going to be happy at all, because now Pavlos has got 1.3 seconds. So now Duncan is going to have to go flat out for the rest of his lap to try catch back up to Pavlos. But obviously, as we know the game, it's quite easy to do that if you're like 1.1, because you've got the slipstream that's very, very powerful for some reason in the game. And obviously now with reduced smoke from last week, it's now easier than ever, really, to just catch back up. But obviously DRS is going to be is enabled already. But if he gets close enough, it's 9/10 already. Always back up to a second, so it could be very close on the detection point. Which is on the back straight. It's now 9/10, so it should be good. But Pavlos, for a moment there, he had the opportunity of his life to potentially go and make a run for it, but obviously it's not worked out for him. But Duncan, oh, that's a big drift into the left-hander. Potentially he's going to lose DRS here. The DRS detection point is coming up now. No, he's using enough ERS to stay into the ERS, to stay in the DRS, but as Knight is menacingly up into P2 and into the net lead of the race without penalties. We'll also still see penalties to come. I believe now the entire train is in a DRS. Well, everyone is on the DRS train as Pavlos loses it out the chicane, and AMS Knight says, "Thank you very much. I'll take your controls of the race," and into the lead goes AMS Knight, the effective lead, and sets the fastest lap, which brings no point, in fact, in WOR. As something's happened to Driscoll. He's lost 6/10 in that chicane, but now he's just swapping until the crucial last lap. The lap you want to be with the full battery. Obviously, almost no one has really good enough battery. Maybe Gabardi in P6 he's got the highest, but Pavlos is on 70 or something. But they're now just going to sit and recharge, swap a bit, and wait for that final lap of death, because that is going to be so crucial. Maybe Nico, he's going to have to be a bit aggressive. Obviously, he's got the 1 lap fresher mediums, which is a couple %, but it's still enough to make a few tenths difference. He's now going to have to be really aggressive to make back up what he lost. But someone's just going to be quite disappointed is Pavlos, because obviously Pavlos, he might be P2 in a minute, but he's got a 3-second time penalty, so he's going to drop right down to the back. So that's really not ideal for him. So maybe if you've got an unfair warning, he's going to try to remove it. But Duncan now, Pavlos is starting to struggle a lot. As Duncan is going to look to get maybe to the lead of the race in a second. He's using ERS. That's quite late. As Duncan takes the lead, Pavlos into still behind AMS Knight. There's a collision. AMS Ward, and I think that was Pavlos coming together, and Ward's going for a half spin, and that allows Nico, crucially, to go 4th position into the podium spots now for Red Bull. But I think now it's just going to be trading. Maybe we'll see the mistakes creep in now as the tyres begin to age. As Ollie Hornby, speaking of, he's crashed. Safety car? Safety car, ladies and gentlemen. We've got our next safety car, our 3rd safety car. We had no safety cars last time in Singapore, but this time we've already got, or on our 3rd one. So now I think you're going to have to barrel in the pits for softs. There's no way you're going to stay on the mediums. They're 8 lap old. You're going to everyone is going to go on a soft now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. And yeah, Pavlos needs to get rid of that penalty. Sorry, I did interrupt you there. I will let you continue in a second, but yeah, I mean, Pavlos, he's only got 3 seconds, so it's not too bad. Anyway, continue.
So I was about to mention actually what you just mentioned. Pavlos with a 3-second Kinsman. Or Kinskman. I said Kins. I wasn't calling him to race, but they've obviously got their penalties, so that's going to cost them quite a lot. So I'm half expecting the pack to barrel into softs, but I'm half expecting half the pack to not. I think no one's double stacking up. We've got 1 of each car. I think we have 1 of each car, you know? Just in the race, I'm looking. Yeah. We've got 1 of each car, so no one. No, mind. We've got 2 Red Bulls.
Yeah. Almost.
That's a shame. So Ward's obviously going to have to go back into maybe Ward's going to stay out, you know. A few going to stay out. I think Duncan's staying out. Everyone else is coming in. Ward's is staying out, as I was saying, and I think Misha's staying out. So I think it's definitely the right choice to go on a soft here. It's not good to stay out on the soft. What did I say? Right, let's go back to the beginning. I think it's now a good choice to go on the softs and not stay on the mediums, because the C mediums now 9 lap old. You're going to have fresh softs. The grip difference is going to be like a whole other formula. As Nico, has he jumped a few people? Nico's now effective 2nd in... Okay, so that's good for Nico, but the grip is going to be like a whole formula. Compare F1 to Super Formula for Japan. Their grip is probably going to be the difference between the softs and the mediums now. It's going to be, well, I'll say that. I don't actually know the grip of Super Formula cars. It could be even more grippy than F1. As you see the sphere looking on, they've got a new update with the animations on the sphere from I think last week. So now it looks, you can now watch the race, which is nice. But obviously the sphere is going to have great entertainment watching the race because we've had an absolute thriller so far, and it can only get better from here because we've got 3 cars staying out on the mediums, right? We've got everyone else on the softs, few with penalties, so they're just going to go really aggressive, I think. Or maybe not aggressive at all. But now we're just going to get a big shambles, I reckon. This is going to be, if it goes in this lap, we'll have 4 laps. If it goes in the next lap, we'll have 3 laps of absolute madness. There's going to be so much going on at the same time. We've got 3 cars on the mediums. We've got everything with the DRS, the back straight. People sending it everywhere. The ERS. It's going to be such a cracking final few laps. So if you're about to make a cup of tea, don't, because stay tuned. Maybe safety car's going to be in this lap? Or cup of coffee. I think it's staying out. Unless it goes last second, which it obviously can. Has happened before, can happen again. I don't think it is, though. It's someone going to last in pits, I reckon. Is Misha going to send pits? No, they're all staying out. So, one more lap. Another safety car. We're going to have a 3-lap sprint race all the way to the line. No safety car, nothing like that. No interruptions. Straight 3 laps. Here we go. This is it.
And yeah, we'll only have 3 more laps until the line, and we'll only have. We will only have 3 more laps until the line, and it'll be interesting to see whether Duncan, Wards, and Misha, who've prioritised track position, will be able to hold onto it in the end of the race. I find it unlikely, but they do have. Well, they've got a couple of drivers baying, but a couple of drivers who haven't been incredibly quick. I mean, Knight and Pavlos especially, they've got up there on the basis that they've had the right strategy today. Nico's up there just because he's been incredibly quick throughout, as he always is, and he could be on his way to pick up his second victory in this season. He'd be the driver that I'd be backing at the moment to take his second victory, beating out Trisquet, as there's a title battle developing there between those two. He is only in P9, and so Nico, if he is able to take the full 25 points out of today, he will be. Well, I mean, a fight will begin to occur. Duncan's also in there, only 6 points behind Nico. Pavlos is only 2 points behind him, but with the pace that Pavlos has had so far this race, with the fact that he's got a 3-second penalty, and then the fact that Duncan as well, he's on those mediums, so I don't think it's going to be a race for the Alpine, unfortunately. And well, I mean, we've got 3 AMS guys in a row. Maybe they'll work together, maybe they won't, but the safety car is going to be in this lap, and Duncan is going to lead us away. We could have had 4 AMS drivers in a row had Nico not left AMS in the last week. So yeah, Duncan is going to lead us away, and he is going to take his sweet time with this safety car restart. We've seen 2 complete opposites. The first safety car restart the first safety car restart, we waited no time at all. Trisquet set us off before even the final corner. Ollie Hornby, though, he waited a lot longer to get going, and Duncan has put the power down. He's caught Wards napping. He is going to pull away, and the green flag is waved pretty early on here in Las Vegas for the final 3 laps of the race. That's a huge send from Pavlos into turn number 1 on Nico, and he moves up into P5, but he doesn't get the exit. Nico sneaks back through into P5. Knight gets the run on Misha, as Misha just doesn't have the grip, maybe makes a mistake coming out of the first complex, and so Knight moves up into P3. He continues to lead the soft runners, as there goes Nico to the inside of Pavlos. Maybe Misha, not quite so, and Pavlos will still continue. He now has the inside line as they head up, but AMS Knight, he's completely proving me wrong. He has the pace, and he is demonstrating it here as he moves up into second place. It could even be first before even the DRS straight. We'll have to wait and see, because the DRS will be activated on the next lap, but he may not even need it to get past on that straight. Knight just behind Duncan. Can he get the exit hooked up right? Can he get it hooked up better than Duncan at the very least? Indeed, he can. And so he will be bearing down on the rear of the Alpine, pulling to the outside and taking the lead of the race. The RB is in the lead of this race. Nico, he is quick down a straight, and so he's going to try to fight back with Nico, but Duncan, he fights back with Knight, and he retakes the lead of the race. Trisket, in the meantime, finally making a move on Bram de Vissel to the inside. Bram de Vissel trying to stick a wheel in there, but he's unable to, and out of the final braking zone. Nico's pushing, he's bump drafting Misha into the final corner and into the penultimate lap. Nico to the outside line, Misha to the inside. It's going to be side by side. Front wheel of Nico to the rear of Misha as they head through. Now contact between the two, and that allows Abe Gabadi to sneak through. The Haas is up into P4 now. Nico drops behind, and Pavlos, he's going to drop behind Trisket as they head through the next corner. Pavlos braking later. Trisket with the inside line. There's wheel to wheel once again as they head out of the corner. Pavlos keeping the inside line. Trisket holding on to the outside, getting boxed in by Misha, but Trisket clinging on. Pavlos still sticking a wheel in there, but Bram de Vissel's attack is, it makes Pavlos, it forces him to surrender. And so Pavlos holds P8. Knight, though, he's built up a 7/10 gap to Duncan, who's got a 1.5 second gap towards us. Gabe Gabadi runs wide. Nico and Misha slot through. So does Trisket. So does Pavlos. And it has not gone well for the Haas, who I don't even think has DRS. He might do, actually, on Wards as they head down the straight. It's going to be activated just about now. But it is going to be activated for him. It's also going to be activated for Nico as he gets past Wards, and he's up into P3. The chase for the lead is still on Pavlos, Trisket, Bram de Vissel, and Abe Gabadi trying to go pretty much 4 wide into the chicane. They can't do that, and Trisket, he's going to have to come out on top. Pavlos and Abe Gabadi side by side. Abe Gabadi trying to build up what he lost from that P4 slot, and indeed he does. He's making his way back up. 7th place is his now. Pavlos and Bram de Vissel could be side by side into turn number 1, as it's Abe Gabadi and Pavlos actually side by side into turn 1, and Abe Gabadi, his evening after the safety car restart goes from bad to worse, and he retires on track from this session. Knight continues to lead on the last lap of this Grand Prix. Duncan he's still within that DRS. He's still within an opportunity of taking this race victory. Nico 1.5 seconds back. He's not making the progress that he would have wanted to make, and so it's unlikely that he will take the lead or the race victory today. Pavlos sending one down the inside of Bram de Vissel, and Bram de Vissel being forced off the track. Pavlos just about holding it in a straight line and squeezing Bram de Vissel, and it's too much for the Mercedes, whose front left pops off, and Pavlos as well. He is left to rue that mistake. He's now in P8 as there's 2 retirements on this final lap. Hopefully we don't get any more as Misha picks up a 3-second penalty. That will be a killer in this final lap as he will drop behind Trisket. But Knight and Duncan, this is the last opportunity for the Alpine to take the race lead and the race victory. DRS, ERS, he's going to throw everything at this straight, and it's going to be enough to pull alongside at least, but he's not opting to. He forces a mistake out of Knight, who slides into the chicane, but it's not enough of a mistake for Duncan to slip through, and Knight is looking like he's going to take this victory. The RB holds on, and AMS Knight takes victory here in Las Vegas. Nico taking that 3rd place. AMS Wards in 4th in the end. Nico, had he had one more lap, I reckon he would have caught up and fought with Knight and Duncan, but alas, he did not. He finishes in that P3. And then looking further back, his teammate Wards, he was in P number 4. Misha drops to 6th in the end, with Trisket, I believe, taking P5. And then Kinksman and Pavlos coming across the line, the final finishers. But what a finish to that race that we had. And, well, I'm going to need to catch my breath.
Yep, that is exactly what I expected in these last 3 laps. Nico had picked up damage from that fight with Pavlos on the restart, so I'm obviously that's you would have definitely caught up the MS Knight and Duncan had he not picked up that damage. And additionally, you may have missed this on stream, I don't know, but I was watching Gobadi
he was hit off by Nico. Nico completely missed his braking zone into the left-hander onto the back straight onto the strip and just hit Gabaddi, and he just went straight. So Nico is probably going to pick up a post-race penalty, but I'm assuming a whole of he's going to pick up a post-race penalties. It could completely flip the order by the end. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 disqualifications. There's probably going to be a few qualifying bans for Gabaddi, I reckon, because he retired on track, and Pavlos had reset to track, which is not allowed. But I think the result could be still very different from this once we get the race stewards' decisions, because, well, if we get any inquiries, I'm sure we will get plenty for Tier 4 tonight. But that was pretty much what we expected, really. I mean, that was one hell of the last few laps. AMS Knight just fending off Duncan at the end with the softs compared to the mediums. That was enough. Maybe if he was on the mediums as well as Duncan, maybe Duncan could have done a lot more. But, I mean, we'll see. There's still a lot way to go in the season. I think we've got 6 races left, actually.
We do
6?
indeed,
We've got 6
yeah.
races. Yeah, it's 6. So we have definitely still more than, well, we've got more than halfway to go, really. So anything can still change from here on in. But it's a 3rd winner now, so it's 3rd winner in the name of AMS Knight. But we'll see. We could still have some changes in results. So I think Nico might pick up a penalty, and a few others will pick up a penalty. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, that was one heck of a race compared to last week.
It certainly was. I mean, last week it fizzled out after the first few laps. This race, it lasted all the way to the very end. And, well, what a race it ended up being. With, well, it's not a race that's over. It's definitely not a race that's over. With so much still yet to be decided. Keep an eye out. Well, keep an eye out for... maybe if you're in the Discord, the inquiry results. Keep an eye out for the standings, and keep an eye out for when we stream next week. So, I mean, there's a lot more WOR action this week and heading into next week. So we have, well, we've got the well, tomorrow we've got console tier 1 and 2, and then we return on Monday for the PC side of things. You'll be seeing me at some point in said PC side, I am sure. After that, then we have the well, we've got Legacy Division on Tuesday, and then we return for the console side. And until next time, it is goodbye.